says live.
It's live. Dude, fucking Twin Peaks is so fucking weird. Oh, for fuck's sake. Are you serious, Daryl? Are you looking at me like this because you need to go out or because... Let me take him out real quick.
It's cool. There's no real rush. I'm not doing anything. So
I can't tell if he's excited because he hears me talk or if he needs to go out.
No problem, bud.
So all right, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
The 24 grand. I should take home, man. Yeah, that's a long time. Oh, God. 82 watts. Do you play any sports, Ray? I just threw my leg out trying to do a joke. I really hurt myself. People call me a monster because I beat new carriages of myself on big fat hotels. And, well, a lot of people call me a monster because I paint nude pictures of myself and I leave them in hotel rooms. The papers call me monster. Nude monster. Well, the papers call me a monster. Nude monster leaves self-portraits across New York City hotels. That's how you get known. You put your name, I put my name on the map, and now I'm doing carriages here on the boardwalk. Yeah. All right, Joe. Here we go, and there you go. Okay. Please check. Right? That's good. That's too much. No, it's too much. No tip. No tip. Have a good day, bud. This is funny, man. He goes to draw somebody's character. He sit down. He just draws his pants around. Oh, my God. I'm sorry. Maury just spit in Sal's mouth. I'm sorry. He's talking close to Sal's mouth. I'm sorry. I was still drinking smell. I am so sorry. Look at him. Look at him. Shut up. I'm assuming Sal's on his way to a hospital immediately, right? It's so disgusting. I thought we had sex. What's your name? My name's David. David. For no reason, just take your pants off. Yeah, it's kind of hot out here. I might need you to back up so I can fit it all in. Okay, I might need you to back up to fit you all in. A little more. That's good. See, you can get him to drop his pants too. What other way you wearing? Boxes? You want to pull him down? Pull off a little bit? Come down, sit. Go ahead, wow. Just two dudes sitting here with our pants down. All right, bud. Here we go. The slam dunk. All right. It's, there it is. There's you. I made the choice.
Such a weird dog.
Open to the toilet. Yeah, that's a 2 point. You know what I mean? You take that and be. Of course.
Go lay down, buddy. Go lay down.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready to start recording?
I am.
Me too.
Yes, Twin Peaks has been insane. Although 3 and 4, I felt like maybe mostly 4 was trying to introduce like more story. You know what I mean? Sort of like
Yes.
like the things that I miss. Like the things I miss are like the cheesy love stories and Sheriff Andy and what's her name being crazy, and we got that finally, and we got that weird speech by their kid. that was so long and painful, but so awesome at the same time.
This is Brando.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So I think it's coming. If you think about it being an 18-hour long movie, we've only seen like the first 20 minutes of a normal length movie. So
yeah.
And I realized that we're very forgiving of this because we love Twin Peaks, and that's why I can't recommend it to anyone other than people that love Twin Peaks. And like Jen, she was on that borderline of already annoyed at the way the old series ended and not happy with Fire Walk with Me. Even though Fire Walk with Me answered a million questions, really, it's
yeah.
Anyone who says that Fire Walk with Me should have been about Cooper getting out of the lodge, I don't necessarily agree with that. But yeah, so I think it takes a true fan to be willing to get there. But I think we're going to get there.
I think Laura Palmer's still alive.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was her doppelganger
That could be.
that was killed all those years ago.
Yeah. I mean, the whole ideas of the doppelganger like came in later, right? Season 2, the whole thought of it was like a season 2 kind of thought. So it's possible that they could turn that around.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, the first part, up until when they figured out it was Leland, it was really just someone possessing someone else, Bob possessing someone and murdering people.
Right.
Yeah, so maybe now that there's this whole thing with the doppelgangers, and when you said 3 Coops the other day, you were right about 3 Coops, and I and even though I had to watch it the second time to kind of put that together, sort of, I sort of, because and they even say it, right, like when he's in the lodge, he's like, they said that Bad Cooper made himself a duplicate, sort of, and it felt to me like he put all the good parts of himself into that duplicate, and that duplicate's living in Vegas and married that woman, and
had a kid.
And because he did that, it left a window open for Coop to escape into another body, even though Bad Cooper didn't go back into the lodge like he was supposed to after 25 years, because that's another new rule that we really didn't know about, right? That he has to go back after 25 years. Mm-hmm. And so because he didn't go back, Coop couldn't get out, but because he had created a third, there was a loophole, maybe. That's sort of how it felt like to me. Yeah. I mean, I'm getting a little tired of Coop not even starting to seem to remember anything. Maybe it's coming in episode 5. I mean, it's been. I thought drinking the coffee was going to do it. I thought he was going to drink coffee and he was going to start to come back.
Yeah, I was waiting for him to say "damn fine coffee."
Yeah, but it didn't happen. So maybe it's coming, and I think I've had enough of the waiting part. Maybe, and I mean the what's his name? The one-armed man showed him that he still had the gold ball, right? And that was like the gold ball. The fuck was the gold ball? Like,
yeah, I don't know. It was something. It was something to do with that manufactured coupe.
Right. So So I think manufactured Coop is who Good Coop is in at the moment, right? But the gold ball was manufactured Coop's personality or life.
I don't know.
And Coop took its place when they took the gold ball. I don't know either, but I'm still liking it a lot. I like the fact that Gordon Cole is going to be in this a lot, obviously.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure David Lynch said, I think there's too much of me in this, in some interview somewhere. I like that he doesn't scream as much, kind of like maybe he got a new hearing aid, or David Lynch really didn't want to yell so much because he's older.
Right. I like when he turned up his hearing aid like all the way.
Yeah, that was a very good scene. And it makes me miss Miguel Ferrer.
Yeah.
He's pretty awesome. I don't know how much of it he was in it. I don't know if he shot the whole thing before he died or what.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll have to look that up later.
Did you know that Lynch and the little man, the actor who played the little man, have some kind of big battle going on, and that's why he's not in it?
I had heard something about that.
Yeah, it was something about pay at first, and then it grew into something much worse. I don't know. I just saw some vague article.
That's a shame.
Yeah. But I'm enjoying it as weird and crazy as it is. I'm enjoying it.
Me too.
That whole thing with when he was getting out of the lodge, it was very Eraserhead, like all that when he got sucked into the electric outlet and being in some kind of weird space, like plane of some weird plane. I don't want to call it space. It probably wasn't space, right? It was like some kind of that floating room in a building, and that was Ronette Pulaski, the woman. Yeah. So weird stuff.
Yeah.
The podcast I listened to about it was saying that Mulholland Falls has a lot of these actors because Lynch uses the same people in everything.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying that they figure there has to be some kind of weird Mulholland Falls tie-ins to this somehow. I was like, I don't remember Mulholland Falls, so I don't know.
I think Lost Highways as well.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's just based on the when Doppelganger Coop was driving down the road. Mm-hmm. It just reminded me of Lost Highways, and I was like, I wonder if there's a tie-in. I wonder if I need to go find a copy of Lost Highways now.
Yeah. Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
What else? Okay, yeah, we can start this now.
Okay.
That was cool. We should talk about that somewhere else, but yeah, we should get it in now that the 4 of them is 4 out of 18. Yeah, we should do a show.
All right, my Audacity is up. I'm going to start recording in 3, 2, 1, go. Son of a bitch. Let me switch my. I have to stop again. Hang on.
Starting again?
Yeah, I don't know how my settings keep getting. They used to stay static, like however I set them, but every now and then, like one of them will reset to something, and my it went from my microphone to my regular to the PC's speakers. I don't know how that happened. Okay, I'm going to start recording again in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, that's much better. Welcome back to the American Godscast, the podcast where we're discussing American Gods, the novel, and the Starz adaptation. My name is Mondo.
And I'm Joe.
And tonight we're discussing episode 5, Lemon Scented You.
Directed by Vincenzo Natali.
Vincenzo Natali, who it turns out is also an animator. Oh,
is that why there was that cool animation section?
Yeah, he animated the opening sequence. It was a Coming to America of the some of the first people coming to America, like back during the Ice Age, coming across the land bridge, bringing their god Nunyanini.
It kind of looked like a woolly mammoth skull.
Yes, and
the animation was very cool.
Yeah, it was all CGI, but it looked like it looked very stop motion. Mm-hmm. And I know a little bit about this because I watched like a little segment about the episode where they discussed how they weren't sure how to do it. It would be really expensive to film that scene, or difficult with the I guess with the first native people coming to America. Although there were native people there when they got there, but we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
So they decided just to animate it, and they told the director, whose name I forgot, but you have there,
Vincenzo Natali.
Yeah, they said, just do something cool and show us when you're done. And that's pretty much, they just trusted him completely to do that, and he did.
Yeah, I liked the look. I liked the whole vibe. It was cool.
Yeah, so they're coming. You know, there's no food in Siberia or wherever they're coming from across the land bridge, and so their god has told them to go to America. I mean, of course, it's not called America at that time. It opens with I guess the main priestess of Nanyonini burying her daughter, saying her name for the last time, as in the way of their people. And she has this vision where they mentioned that the gods, the barrier between gods and men was thinner at that time, so I guess the gods talked to people more often. And it told them that she was gonna have to make a sacrifice. That people were gonna have to make a great sacrifice. I don't think they used the word sacrifice, but
I don't think so either. But
that's what I put down in my notes, because when they get to America, the land of plenty isn't exactly what was promised at first. And then we see a buffalo.
Yeah, we saw the buffalo, big buffalo.
Yeah, big buffalo god, and some of the people are sacrificed. It looks like the older people, because after the priestess, I wish I had written down her name, is impaled upon a buffalo horn. They offer food to one of the older members of the tribe, who refuses it, and so they kill him.
Yeah.
And the rest of the people, and it would look like mostly like children, drop the mammoth skull Nanyonini, and they take the food and they go off, and Nanyonini becomes forgotten. He's abandoned in the forest, and we see like a time-lapse kind of thing where he eventually disintegrates into dust.
Yep, forgotten god.
Yep. And at the very end of that scene, you hear a fly.
Yes.
And the next scene opens up with a fly. And this is the third time we have seen this scene in the series, with Laura sitting on the edge of the bed,
waiting for Shadow to come home.
Yeah, at third time's the charm. It actually progresses from here.
It does.
So that's another instance of the number 3. I've really stopped counting them, but I did notice this one.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see as many 3s in here as I thought we were.
So she says, "Hi, puppy." Again, that's the third time we heard her say, "Hi, puppy."
Yes. And he's like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" She tells him she's cold. He throws a pillow at her.
Yeah.
To make sure she's real.
That was great.
Yeah, and she throws it back. She's like, "Yeah, I'm real."
I wrote here that there was some beautiful acting by the guy who plays Shadow in this whole segment. I mean, he was just very good.
Yeah. Yeah,
he was emotional. He was kind of bewildered and emotional, and you know, like the feelings were like everywhere. You could see it on his face. It was good.
Yeah, very good.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't tell if Laura's acting was really good or not. I want to say it is, but it's hard to tell, and that because of the nature of her character before and possibly even now.
Yeah, I agree. She's supposed to sort of be, I don't know, distant or vague. I don't know how to put it. That's probably a bad way to put it, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that I don't think it's a bad way to put it. I don't know if it's exactly the right way to put it, but I definitely don't think it's a bad way to put it. I couldn't even think of that much. But so, you know, they have to talk about some unresolved issues. Like, you know, Shadow wants to talk about some unresolved issues they have.
But she just wants a cigarette, so she sends him out.
Yeah, but she also, it's like she's kind of glossing over the cheating with Robbie. And she's like, well, isn't it more important that here I am, I'm a miracle, I'm alive? Like, you know, that's something else we should talk about. And he's just like...
It definitely should be one of the topics they talk about. but he's probably right that he needs some answers first.
Yeah, and she gives him some answers about how the whole thing with Robbie started and how she waited for 13 months and she really intended to wait, although she wasn't sure she really could. She was just hoping she could. And yeah, she gives him the whole skinny, including the death of Dummy, and she says that you know how grief is, and that's why next to every cemetery there's a hotel.
Yeah, she's very nonchalant about it all still.
Yeah. And she glosses over her whole after death experience. She says, she was dead. She wasn't scared when knew she was going to die. But then she died. She was somewhere else, and then she was in a box.
Yeah, she didn't talk about her meeting with Jackal.
No.
Maybe she.
Yeah, like you said,
maybe she does. Maybe she does. Maybe she. I mean, I think she has to. She has to. Yeah. She had to run in with them after that. Right?
Yeah, with that great line, I remember.
Which I haven't. We have to talk about in a minute. Did he go out for cigarettes yet, or now's when he goes out for cigarettes?
He did. He went out for cigarettes.
Okay, so he used the cigarette machine, which I thought was cool because we don't see those anymore.
No, we don't. Those are pretty much gone now. I mean, when Neil Gaiman wrote the book, they were still around, but
yeah,
I don't think they're legal anywhere.
And one of the Ravens saw something.
Yeah, and it talks to Wednesday.
It goes and rats her out to Wednesday, I think.
Yeah, or something. Rats something.
Yeah, we're not sure. He just says what, and we really don't know what the Raven said.
Yeah. So Shadow brings her back the cigarettes, and she's in a bath.
Right, all that makeup and all that work, and she just gets in a bath. I thought that was it was a waste. I mean,
it was.
They did stitch her up better than she was stitched up before. They fixed her arm.
I was wondering more about the arm. I mean, all right, yes, she's a rotting corpse. She wasn't that rotted when she fought the children to save Shadow. Is it possible that she had already lost the arm in the car accident, and it was already sewn back on once, and that's why it came off so easily when they hit her with the crowbar?
Yeah, sure, it's possible. I guess you're right. That it's not like somebody cut her arm off; they just kind of hit her with a crowbar. Yeah,
and that didn't occur to me until this episode. Just looking at the stitching on her arm, I was like, I bet you that arm was already off, and it had already been stitched on, so it just came off easier when they hit it with the crowbar.
That makes sense to me too.
Yeah,
her arm's off. Did we already make that joke?
I think we did.
I think so.
But she's in a bath because she wants to warm up for Shadow.
I think she thinks she's going to get some.
She does think she's going to get some,
and it almost seems like it was going in that direction too.
Yeah, she gets out of the bath and she's all stitched up, and I mean she's still kind of hot, despite being all stitched up.
Yeah.
I guess it's probably because she's also moving around and walking and talking. She probably wouldn't look as hot if those things weren't happening. Like she wouldn't look hot just laying there.
Probably not.
Yeah, I don't feel creepy.
So she kisses Shadow, and she starts to glow where she's kissing him.
Yeah, like E.T. and shit.
Yeah, and her heart beats one single beat.
Mm-hmm.
And she kind of freaks out about that too.
Taste that cigarette.
Yeah.
But she said she tasted that. She's like, I can taste that. I feel alive. Do I feel alive to you, puppy? And he says she does.
Mm-hmm.
And
then somebody knocks on the door.
Well, she thanks him for the coin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think.
And she tells him that there's weird shit. Like there's really weird shit going on.
Do you think it was the coin that was glowing in her? That was glowing? I think it was his glow that kind of spread to her.
I personally think it was his glow, but I mean, it could have been the coin glowing because of him.
Yeah.
But she says there's some weird shit going on. I'll be watching out for you. Thanks for the coin. But then she asks him, and this is kind of important. She says are you still my puppy? And he says no.
Yeah. I mean, it almost seemed like he was going to say yes. He was sort of smiling when she first asked him, and then his face kind of just turned.
Yeah, and he says nope.
More good acting by that guy.
Yes. And then knock at the door, and Wednesday's there. He wants to go out for drinking.
Right. So now so we did get a glimpse of someone in a car in the parking lot when Shadow went out for cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
So my thought is either the Raven told Wednesday that Laura was alive again, or he told Wednesday that there was someone snooping in the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
Either one could have made him want to come there and take Shadow, out of the place for a drink or whatever.
He mentions at the door that he smells like cat piss and oven cleaner.
Yeah,
which is probably Laura.
Probably.
That's probably what she said. I was
that.
I know. And he even says and Shadow's trying to get rid of him. He's just like, look, I'm having a weird night. I've seen weird shit going on. And Mr. Wednesday's like, you should have questions. He's like, yeah, I've got a list of them, but I just want to go to bed.
Yeah.
So he says, you've seen something. Yeah. You've seen something. And whoop whoop.
Yeah, police come.
They get arrested for bank robbery. They get arrested for pulling that bank job.
They do.
Yeah.
And then we flash to...
And then we have the best... Yeah, this is the best scene of this episode. I don't know if it is, actually, but it's one of them. This is a great episode. There's a lot of great scenes.
There were. But this is pretty cool. We see Technical Boy walking towards a limousine out of a nightclub.
Yeah, regular limousine.
Mm-hmm. But then he looks over and he sees on the ground one of those virtual reality helmets, and he says something like, "Oh fuck," or something, and the thing just shoots itself onto his head.
And he's in a virtual limo, the same kind of virtual limo that he had once trapped Shadow in.
Yeah.
And we get Gillian Anderson again as Media, as David Bowie as Ziggy Stardust.
Mm-hmm.
Man, she looked great.
Yeah. She's doing a really fantastic job.
She is. And it only gets better in this episode.
It does. She passes on a message.
Yeah. She tells him he's got an image problem with his brand. He was supposed to just ask some questions and wound up hanging a black guy from a tree.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck. And she wants him to apologize. It's the message. Yep. He needs to apologize.
Mr. World told him he has to apologize.
Right. And so he says, well, tell Mr. World I'm sorry. I apologize. And she says, Mr. World doesn't want your apology. He's going to regift it to Wednesday and Shadow. And Technical Boy's pissed.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, are you fucking with me? He seems to think that a lot. And she mentions that Wednesday was smoldering. He was suffocating. So I guess we're getting the idea that maybe before this, and she could be wrong. I think she probably is, but the idea is maybe they were thinking that before this, Wednesday was just about done. So instead of helping snuff this out, he tried to put out a fire with gasoline.
Yeah.
And he says, he's calling monsters. He's recruiting monsters. He calls them Pokemon.
He does.
It says they're mass delusions, and she's all about mass delusions. She was there when the Martians landed in 1938, talking, of course, about Orson Welles' broadcast, where people went apeshit thinking that Martians were really landing.
Yeah.
And now there's starmen waiting in the sky, which is the Bowie reference there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're trying to do something to get Wednesday away from this war footing.
Yeah, and she's implying that he just made it worse.
Yeah.
And then we got to the police station.
The lawyer. That's all Shadow says at first.
Yeah.
He's being interrogated by Lady Cop, and all he says is lawyer.
And at first, Mr. Wednesday is kind of doing his shtick, his Yeah, idiot. His idiot Alzheimer's patient shtick.
He's like, he took me from the home, and they're like, which home? He's like, no, I lived at the beach, and my wife, she likes fish, she likes wine, she hates fishing. And then when they ask him his name, though, he recites the poem "Madam Life's a Piece in Bloom," and I forget who wrote that, but that was a poem that Neil Gaiman had put before one of the chapters in the book. It's even on the American Godscast page, whatever episode that was for whatever chapter. I'm not going to look it up right now, but
it's okay.
Yeah. So he recites that. Shadow and that lady are still talking. Shadow's still saying, lawyer, please. She's like, don't you want to tell me anything? He's like, lawyer. And she says, like, your boss has got enemies, and they gave us your precise location, GPS coordinates. So this is like more interesting to them than this bank robbery, this minor grifting shit of a bank robbery 2 states away. Is, they got a fax on a fax machine that doesn't get used.
Yeah, I think she says not even plugged in, maybe.
Yeah. And it had their GPS coordinates. It had all of these like really crystal clear photos. What Mr. Wednesday calls in a little bit a God's eye view of their robbery. And she's like, he's got some pretty extreme enemies. So Shadow's like, wait, you have my attention. Back on Wednesday's side of things, he decides, like, the cops want to know the whole thing. He says, you want to know the whole thing? Honest answers only.
Yeah, he starts telling the truth.
Yeah, like the flat out fucking truth, including the fact that when the guy asks, what were you doing in Chicago? He says, I was recruiting a god of death who, like, in a war against the new gods because they fear him, like, even though they should be fearing me. And he's telling them, like, literally the whole fucking thing. He mentions
all the stuff that Shadow doesn't even know.
Yeah. He says that, like, the leprechaun was against it, but, like, the leprechaun's a fucking asshole. And Mr. Nancy's kind of disinfected, but, like, he understands now, like, after seeing those lynch, the rope burns around, like, Shadow's neck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there's another example of how the technical boy kind of egged things on rather than made things better.
Yeah, that definitely. If Mr. Nancy, I mean, we don't know how close Mr. Nancy is into the war or what his opinion was before that, but that would definitely, if he was on the fence, that's definitely going to knock him to one side.
Yeah.
And then where are we? Back at the hotel room?
Yeah, Mad Sweeney.
Mad Sweeney kicks open the door where Laura is at the motel. She had just gotten dressed.
Yeah.
And he wants his coin back. She beats the shit out of Mad Sweeney.
He gets in her face, and she just sticks up her finger and kind of flicks him, and he flies across the room.
Yeah. Oh, man. He can't. Yeah, she just kicks his ass like so handily. Every time he comes back up swinging, she just like basically just kicks his ass a little more. She calls him a ginger minge, which I thought was like funny as fuck.
Yeah, she breaks his finger.
Yep. And she says she wants to ask him some questions, or she's going to kick him in the nuts.
The last person she kicked in the nuts. The last person she kicked in the nuts, it ended in his chin. I think she said.
I think she said my foot didn't stop till I reached his throat.
Yeah, that was it. He keeps calling her asshole dead wife.
Yeah.
She said she will never, ever, ever give him back his coin.
Yeah, and he can't take it.
Right.
She has to give it freely. He hands her like a hat full of other coins. He's like plucking coins out of thin air.
He does.
They're just as good.
He does grab her by the face and looks down her throat, and we get a glimpse. We see the coin for the first time since Shadow threw it on her grave. Right. He kind of looks down her throat.
Mm-hmm. And we were guessing
travels down there.
Yeah, we were guessing last week that it was in her.
Yeah.
So we were right there. But yeah, he does tell her some stuff about Wednesday. He calls him Grimnir,
Mm-hmm.
which is another word for Odin. Wednesday says he's a god. And she's just like, okay. And he's like, you don't believe me? She's like, no, I'm just processing it. So what did God tell you?
It was a good scene.
It was a good scene. But he does say, like, not to trust him. He's like, Shadow trusts him. Like, you shouldn't trust him.
I don't know that Shadow really trusts him, though. I think Shadow is reluctantly trusting him, maybe is a good way to put it.
I would agree. I think Shadow made a deal.
Yeah.
And he's just trying to honor the deal. Yeah, I definitely do not think there's any trust involved. I mean, this is from the book. I mean, in the book, Shadow seems to trust Mr. Wednesday,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of the dialogue here was from the book. And I think even in the book, I think when we'll talk more about the book later, but I think Shadow even says at one point in the book that he doesn't trust Mr. Wednesday. He doesn't need to trust Mr. Wednesday. He's working for Mr. Wednesday.
Yeah.
So there's a difference there. So yeah, I think you're right. It's just because Mad Sweeney says like Shadow trusts him, I think you're right. He doesn't.
No, I don't think so.
But yeah, so she says she's not going to give him the coin, and he tells her, well, you know what, that's fine because I'll get it eventually because you're dead meat, like literally. Eventually the meat's going to slide off of you, especially like, you keep taking hot baths. Like one day you're just going to be walking around and the meat's going to slide off you. I'm going to reach up and pluck that coin from you like a berry.
Yeah. He's probably right.
He probably is. And then I don't know why, after all the time she kicked his ass, he jumps her again, throws her into the bathtub, and he's strangling her. In the bathtub.
Yeah, I don't know what purpose he thought that would serve.
Yeah.
She just pissed him off, I think.
Yeah. And the cops bust in.
Mm-hmm.
And, they pull him up off of her. And he's like, no, she ain't dead. She ain't dead. And, of course, like, she is.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, no. Fucking asshole dead wife. He repeats it like a whole bunch more times as they arrest him. And you kind of see her smiling as she's, like, floating under the water playing dead.
Yeah. And back to the police station. They put Shadow and Wednesday in the same room. Yeah,
the woman tells Mr. Wednesday that Shadow's loyal. So Shadow obviously didn't tell her much. Maybe he wanted to talk to Wednesday first.
Maybe. She did persuade him to stop kind of saying lawyer over and over again.
Yeah, she got his attention.
Yeah, he wanted some answers.
And she leaves him the folder with the photos, the God's eye view, as I said, with what he says to Shadow, and she leaves them alone together. And Mr. Wednesday's like, we got to get the fuck out of here, otherwise we're gonna be dead.
Yeah, and this felt like those cops should have been on the other side of that mirror watching, definitely. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that they were. And Wednesday was talking like there was nobody listening, or maybe he didn't care, but I felt like the point of that was to spy on them talking privately, which would, if anyone's smart, they would know they're not being private. It's not private at all. So I don't know. Wednesday seemed to. Maybe Wednesday knew they weren't there, even if they were videotaping.
Well, yeah, because we do see that. We do see the video cameras on the other side in a little bit.
Yeah, maybe he didn't care. Maybe he knew he needed to get out.
He already told the cop everything.
Yeah, it's true. He told him all the truth.
Yeah. Mr. Nancy unlocks Mr. Wednesday's cuffs.
Yep.
As a tiny little spider, he comes crawling out of the thing.
He doesn't open Shadow's cuffs, though.
No, he doesn't. And it turns out someone big is after them, and Shadow asks Mr. Wednesday, he's like, "Who are you?" And then we hear gunshots and screaming.
Yeah, lights flickered a bit.
Yeah. And Mr. Wednesday tells Shadow that there's someone coming who you don't want him to let him see your face until you're ready to be seen. And then Marilyn Monroe comes in.
Gillian Anderson again.
Yes, as media as Marilyn Monroe.
Mhm.
Now here's something that kind of all right. So Shadow sees Marilyn Manson, not Marilyn Manson, for fuck's sake, Marilyn Monroe floating into the room. Gillian Anderson is Marilyn. She's floating into the room. It's that iconic shot where she like the dress is being blown up and she's trying to hold it down.
Yeah.
And he says, "I love Lucy." Like, you're floating? I thought you were black and white. Like, really? What's happening here? Okay. By this time, I think the fact that I Love Lucy is now Marilyn Monroe, who is now floating, is probably not going to be as shocking to Shadow as everything else that has happened, especially since he just got done hanging out with his dead wife.
I agree. He's definitely seen too much for this to be so shocking, for any of this to be so shocking to him.
Yeah, this is...
They're playing it off a little too long.
Yeah. At this point, Shadow should just be like, "Oh, this is par for the fucking course."
Yeah, and I presume next episode, if it proceeds, of course, along after this one, he's going to get some answers from Wednesday finally.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's time.
Media reveals that Marilyn Manson was murdered. It wasn't an accidental overdose.
Yeah.
The last thing she saw was a CIA spook like sticking a needle in her eye.
I can't read my own writing here.
She's like, I have no business with you. He wants to know. That's what Mr. Wednesday says to her. He's like, we've got no business with you. And Shadow is like, is this reality reprogrammed? And it's like, once again, at this point, yeah, like you, I'm just like, okay. Like, Shadow, come on. And then we get Mr. World starts coming down the hallway like Michael Jackson in the Billie Jean video. Because every step he takes...
Floor lights, that's what I wrote here. Floor lights.
Yeah. I wrote Billie Jean.
Yeah. So Crispin Glover
comes in, he's wearing a coat, he's got this like hat, he comes in, takes off his hat. That little thing I watched about the episode with Brian Fuller and some other dude involved in the making of the series, they said that that's pretty much the way. Like they had said that they wanted Mr. World to be a Crispin Glover type, and someone told them, "Well, Crispin Glover's coming to meet you in the morning for a part."
Nice.
And he rode over on his bike, and they say that's pretty much the way he walked into the room to meet them. So they wanted to recapture that. So I guess he kind of strode into the room like that and took his hat off like that.
Yeah.
So they wanted to do that again.
And I mean, he was excellent. And I mean, Crispin Glover, I think, is like a national treasure since Back to the Future. He's been, just great in everything he does, everywhere, anything he ever does. And in this, it was no different from any of the other amazing things he's done. He was just fantastic.
He was. First thing he does is he apologizes to Mr. Wednesday. He says, we should have reached out, but I didn't see you clearly. Whatever that means. I think it's important, but because Mr. Wednesday was like trying to lie low and not taking the highways, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Wednesday tells Shadow not to say anything at all. He's like, don't answer any questions. Don't say nothing. But it turns out like Mr. World already knows Shadow. He knows his blood type, his recurring nightmare of the bone orchard. He even knows what his face looks like when he masturbates, and he shows us. And then says it's cool. The same as your mom, who had 86 sexual partners.
It was very cool the way they digitally they made his whole head kind of come in and out. It was weird, but cool.
It was really weird. Definitely a scene worth watching. Like if anyone's not watching, I don't know why you're listening to this if you're not watching the show, but if you're not watching the show, if you're just hoping to just glean it from us, man, just like you got to watch that scene. It was crazy, poking his head, and it was, I don't know, weird.
Yeah.
But he says everything that happens is written in the book of life. So basically, everything that happens in the world is something that Mr. World knows. So I don't know. He seems pretty. Even if he wasn't played by Crispin Glover, he's pretty twitchy. And he whistles for the technical boy. Who doesn't cover him? He's like, what is he? He's still sulking?
Technical boy comes out.
Yeah, and he apologized. He's like, I'm sorry for lynching you. You know, with the it was in poor taste, especially with the racial tensions currently in America. Like a dark-skinned man, I probably shouldn't have lynched you. My bad. Sorry. And Mr. World's like, you want to hit him? Knock out his front teeth? And Shadow's like, no. He's like weirded out by this whole thing. But he does not want to punch out the technical boy's front teeth.
Yeah, he's pretty bewildered still by all this. Again, maybe too much so.
Yeah. Technical boy sits down and he makes a sales pitch at Mr. World's prompting. This is not something the technical boy wants to be doing. No. He rattles it off as if like, you know, it's like an assignment he just doesn't want to do. He's like, you know, the world is evolving, you know, why don't you evolve with us? We can help you find your audience, you know, make you relevant again, get you like, you know, get you out in the public eye once more. Mm-hmm. And Mr. Wednesday's like, you know, you're asking for a truce. And Mr. World's like, you know, truce implies we're at war. You know, you might be at war, we're not. Like, you know, and what they're talking about is more of a merger.
Yeah.
And they want to upgrade Mr. Wednesday. And that's where we get the title of the episode. Media says, a brand new lemon-scented you.
Yeah, they talk about a rocket and
salsa
blowing up South Korea in his name or something.
Yeah, the Odin guidance satellite. This is the first direct mention of the word Odin, I believe, that we get.
I think so.
I mean, they don't even necessarily refer, you know, to him as Odin, but I mean, we've heard other, you know, a bunch of Odin's other names throughout, like, you know, the first few episodes. Wotan, you know, Grimnir, Wednesday. So this is just more name calling.
Yeah, they call it a rebranding.
Yes. Yeah, 24.9 million people will know your name. And like, you know, so they want to basically make him the god of war satellites?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
The gods are weird. Their rules are weird.
Yeah, they are. And Wednesday starts talking about oysters, and he says, like, you know, he's that irritating little piece of grit in an oyster, and it's like, you know, you cover it up with something nice and shiny. You make a pearl, you can put it on a necklace, but really, all the oyster wants to do is get that irritating piece of shit out of its mouth. And he says that that's what they're trying to do. Yeah. They're calling it a merger. He calls it exile.
He says all you do is occupy their time. We give them meaning.
Yeah. So they decide to pack up and leave. Mm-hmm. You know, they've given him something to think about, but the technical boy is not pleased with that. He's like, he's here. You have him. It's like, why are we walking away? And Mr. World apparently has some sort of respect. He says he's older than you will ever be. He deserves our respect. And technical boy is still being an asshole. He's like, he is right here. You're always letting him get away. You're letting him get away again. Why the fuck don't we, you know, he either says yes or we fucking take him out. So media blows him a kiss. Mm-hmm. Knocks his 2 front teeth out.
Yeah.
She like literally like blows him a kiss. Like, and pow. Right on the table in front of Shadow.
Yep. They tell him he could keep the teeth as a souvenir or something.
He says, like, it's my gift to you.
Yeah, my gift to you. And then Media kind of steps down like she's been standing on something this whole time. And she walks out with him, with Mr. World and Technical Boy.
Last thing he says before they close the door is, I'm not your enemy. And Shadow's like, was this real? Did this really happen? And Mr. Wednesday says, it's still happening.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, so they start to leave.
and all of the cops in the police station are dead.
Yeah.
They're strung up. The woman that had been questioning Shadow is sitting in a chair. She's obviously dead.
There's bullet holes in the walls everywhere, even though we didn't
Yeah.
really hear much gunfire.
No.
We did see they did make all the walls at the video screens, and Shadows did seem really freaked out by that too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's when they were showing him the Odin satellite and all sorts of other weirdness.
That might have been when all the gunfire happened.
Shadow wants to know, like, what story they're going to tell here. And Mr. Wednesday says, anyone they want.
And we see a weird eyeball appear in like some wood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's like some sort of weird tree monster growing out of the chair the woman is in.
I think it's the tree from his dream.
I don't know. It weirded me out. Like,
it tried to grab him several times, and it grew out of somebody's body. Didn't it grow out of somebody's body too, or at least grew through her body?
Yeah, you see it kind of like coming up out of her mouth like in a silhouette, not like like actually coming out of the person's mouth, but in a silhouette.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, outside, the cops have pulled up with Mad Sweeney.
Yeah.
And since the police station's all dark and they can't reach him on the radio, they're on their way in. And this tree monster is trying to grab Shadow, and he gets away. I don't understand what it is at all. It could be the tree from the Bone Orchard, maybe. I don't know if that makes sense to me. I'm guessing it's going to be explained in another episode.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, it could just be forgotten forever, but I would hope not. I don't need like a whole episode based on this tree, but
no, the not explaining what that tree is would be too Twin Peaksy for me for this show.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's like a throwaway line practically in the next episode where Machado says to Mr. Wednesday, "What was with that tree?" and he says, "Oh, they fucking use trees." I'll be happy with that.
Yeah, just a little.
That would be fine.
Sure.
I mean, I want more, but I mean, I'll be okay.
Mad Sweeney kicks out the car window and smashes his own balls.
Yes, he does, because he's got no luck.
Yeah. And when Shadow and Wednesday step out, there's like this cool smoke effect on the ground outside.
It's all
just
swirly.
Noticed it. Yeah. And Sweeney runs away.
Yep. Shadow and Wednesday get out.
Yep.
And we're at a morgue. And the morgue attendant, did you notice the pictures on his desktop?
Yeah, with horses.
It's weird. That was so weird to me.
Yeah. He looked a little familiar to me. Maybe I've seen him in something.
He did look familiar. Him and his love of horses. Earlier when the media turned all the walls into like big, large TV screens, there was also this like cartoon unicorn.
Yeah.
Running around. I meant to mention that. I had a little note here, cartoon unicorn. But at the morgue, there's some noises coming from one of the drawers, and the morgue attendant goes to investigate, and something is creaking and groaning, and the hinges are popping, and the door like snaps off, and it like explodes outwards, and I think it killed the guy.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think he's dead. Laura comes out of the drawer.
Yep. She kind of looks at the dead guy, and she goes and finds her clothes.
Yep. And it says Jane Doe on it with the she looks in a mirror and she breathes on it.
Yeah, no smoke, no real breath.
Yeah. She still wipes her finger like as if she were rubbing it through the breath that's not there. But and that was the end of the episode.
Yep.
Now, I gotta say, Laura's arm was off, and she had the autopsy scars, and she had probably been dead for longer than however long Mad Sweeney had been holding her down in the bathtub. I mean, we know that, but I'm assuming that whoever cops or morgue attendants had come to the pardon the dog whining, come to the motel. I don't think she just would have been in a drawer like that. I think someone would have been woken up.
You think so? You think the investigation someone would have called an investigator even in the middle of the night?
I think so. That's like some weird shit.
It is.
Maybe not. I don't know, but maybe they were waiting to hear if like someone had stolen a body from a morgue. I don't know, but talking out loud, I see there are other possibilities. But watching it on the TV, the first thing I thought was like, there's no way they just would have left that alone. But maybe they were waiting to see if there was any reports of.
I thought it was weirder that there were other bodies out in the open, not in bags, not in fridges, and no one was working on them, right? All those bodies should be in fridges somewhere unless someone was actually there doing work, right?
Right. Okay, yeah.
That was weird too. I think they just wanted to show more penises.
More penises.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is a really good episode.
Yeah, I mean, we say that every week because it's been just good in general.
Yeah.
But this was particularly fun for me. I love Crispin Glover. I love that we're getting some answers now, and Shadow and Laura's relationship. I love that too. So a lot of good stuff this week, though.
I love the fight between Laura and Mad Sweeney.
Yeah, that was great.
They are both such fucking assholes. Like, yeah, I hope to see them fight more. I want more fighting.
And Gillian Anderson, like, as two different characters.
She is just fucking. She's knocking it out of the park.
She is.
She is fantastic.
Brilliant.
I really do want to see her as media, as Agent Scully. Like, I wouldn't even mind like a David Duchovny, like in the background, like a David Duchovny cameo.
That would be fun.
If she was talking to Shadow as Agent Scully from a TV screen somewhere. I think that needs to happen. Maybe it's too obvious, but
I don't know if they'd do it.
I really want it so bad. Yeah, I've got no other notes that aren't related directly to the book.
Yeah, we'll save that for spoiler.
We've seen the opening salvos in this war.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there've been a couple of others, but something huge is definitely now brewing.
Yes.
And the new gods are definitely, I mean, the whole thing with Shadow in episode 2 may have been a mistake. It may have been an accident, or episode 1. Was it 1 or 2, man?
Yeah, I don't know.
That early episode, the whole hanging from the tree thing. I mean, that may have been a mistake, but the new gods are definitely, they might be talking peace and merger, but they're definitely moving pieces into play. Everyone's moving pieces. It's big fucking checkers game of Chernobog here.
Yeah.
All right. So before we talk about spoilers, you can find this podcast and all of our other American Godscast podcasts at AmericanGodscast.net. You can find me on Twitter at Dharma Bob.
I'm at Joey.
And you can find our other podcasts at nottheshow.com. You can follow us together on at Not The Show. You can also follow the show on at AM Godscast on the tweeters. The twatters. And we're about to talk spoilers, so if you don't want to know anything spoilery, the fuck out.
That's right. Buzz off.
Okay. We are definitely out of book territory 100%.
Oh, yeah, there was a lot here that wasn't in the book.
And we knew we were heading that direction when Mad Sweeney went looking for the coin. I mean, we've been heading that direction since the beginning, but I think we're definitely off. We are off book completely at this point.
Yeah, I guess things will have to happen to get us to the conclusion of the story. But the ways to get there and the pieces of it don't all have to be the same. And as long as they keep being as good as this, I don't really care.
Me either. But we're definitely two totally separate stories. So, if you haven't read the book before, I think you can read the book without really spoiling this series for yourselves.
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Laura is dead Laura. Especially, I mean, it was obvious last week during the Laura episode, but dead Laura is definitely very different from dead Laura in the book. Dead Laura in the book was more unattached to the world, with the exception of her connection to Shadow.
Right.
I mean, we don't really see a lot of her non-Shadow experiences, especially early on. You know, we get told about like things she does. You know, she gets jobs working late nights, you know, under fluorescent lighting, because this way her, you know, like under the bad lighting, she doesn't look as dead, or at least she doesn't look any less dead or more dead than anybody else does under the bad fluorescent lighting.
Yeah, and that probably hasn't happened yet on the TV show, right? Because she went straight from, she woke up, she killed the children, and then she met up with Jackal and Ibis, and then now. So that stuff may still be coming, right? She's got to meet up with Shadow and Wednesday in the future. She's gonna keep trailing them, right, to keep trying to protect Shadow.
Yeah, but I don't think we're gonna get any more of the. I mean, we could still get some of the attacks in the book, but I mean, in the book, she didn't attack the children.
Right.
She attacked Woody and Stone, who, I mean, we haven't seen their characters or likenesses here yet on the show.
Right.
But
they were the faceless. We talked about them in the book episodes. They were the ones that his mind kept kind of trying to disappear around them. Right. Couldn't really see them. Is that who they're talking about?
I think that these guys were like kind of like CIA spooks. You know, they were like black suits, glasses.
These weren't the ones that he kept. Shadow kept sort of not remembering after he stopped looking at them.
No, that was another god in a casino.
Right. Okay.
But, you know, that the first people Laura attacked were them, and that was after the carousel scene.
Okay. Yeah, and we're not even gonna get the carousel scene. I think he said by the end of the season.
Yeah.
We talked about that the other day, right? That.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think that they're just going completely off book. I think all of the main plot points will still be hit.
Yeah.
You know, from the book over here, but I think I think Laura's journey is going to be very different. And she said she's going to be looking out for him. So we probably still will see a scene where Laura kills more people.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, at that point in the series, I mean, nobody but Shadow had met any of the gods. We hadn't seen Mr. World. None of these people show up until after the carousel, which is like a third of the way through the book.
Yeah.
Before the next, you know, larger, you know, or smaller story arc within the story. So, yeah, I think we're going to see some like really large changes. I'm digging it so far, and
yeah, they never get picked up by the police either in the book at all.
No, they pulled that grift off perfectly.
Yeah,
never got busted for that. So they're just doing a whole new story, and like I said, I'm not complaining.
And the Mad Sweeney stuff is new and different.
Yeah, I love the Mad Sweeney stuff, man.
Yeah, very different, but I'm still digging it.
Since we're in our spoilery section, I will say, did you watch the Coming Next Week?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Laura and Mad Sweeney are going to talk again.
Yeah.
It looks like it's going to be a more civil conversation. And we're going to see some like some militaristic type dude. I don't know. It was kind of creepy, like some sort of like Nazi army looking kind of thing. I mean, I suppose just because you have an armband doesn't make you a Nazi. I should probably necessarily compare them to Nazis, but that's what I was thinking when I saw these.
Especially not today, dude.
Yeah. Oh yeah, not today. But I think I think it's going to be another god. I think we're going to meet another god.
Yeah, I think so too.
And it should be good. Yes. Speaking today, we're recording this on Memorial Day.
Yes.
And as we talk about Nazis, Marvel Comics, like this is completely off topic, but Marvel Comics has used Captain America in their Memorial Day message today. And a lot of people have been complaining because currently in the Captain America comics lineup, it turns out Captain America has been a Hydra agent all along, making him a Nazi. So people were kind of like, the fuck are you doing having Captain fucking America, the Nazi Hydra agent, thanking the troops on Memorial Day?
You'd think that they would have thought of that, since they're the ones who are writing the storylines.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone else. It must have been someone in another department who doesn't even read the comics or know that the current storyline.
Maybe, but yeah, I mean, I definitely agreed it was probably in poor taste.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that by the end of the current comic run, Captain America will no longer be a Nazi. It will no longer have been really Captain America. Although they say it's really Captain America, but they recently destroyed a whole bunch of their universes and combined them all into one.
Mm-hmm.
So I personally think, and I've gotten this from the internet, like, I didn't come up with this theory on my own, but I definitely think it's the most plausible, is that the ultimate Captain America from the ultimate Captain America universe is probably the Nazi, and this new Steve Rogers, who just popped up in the last episode, is probably the Captain America, who is probably okay to Memorial Day message, but not today. Maybe next year when it's all cleared up.
Yeah.
That was a completely fucking off topic aside.
Okay.
My apologies.
No, don't worry about it.
I think really that's all I got. That was our recap. We
I think so.
got a little spoilery here.
Yeah.
And spoilery is going to be, I mean, I guess most of our spoilers at this point are going to start talking about like how different from the book as opposed to like that was a little different.
Yeah, things that are the same as the book will probably be more likely we're going to talk about at the end part of these episodes.
Yeah, because there's some weird shit going on,
Mm-hmm.
man. What the fuck was that tree thing?
I don't know. I'm sure we'll find out.
It was like something out of like Evil Dead.
Yeah. It was cool.
You think it was the Bone Orchard tree?
I don't know. I mean, that's what it reminded me of. It seems like that's what they were getting at when they did it.
I mean, I've been pretty sure that the Bone Orchard tree has been the world tree from Norse mythology.
Okay.
And I don't see why it would be popping up in a police station and attacking Shadow, especially. But, I mean, it's the only tree we've seen.
Yes.
So far, aside from this.
And his recurring dream was mentioned in the scene, too.
Yeah. So maybe it's something that they left behind. Maybe it's not necessarily that tree, but it's something that Mr. World left behind to fuck with them.
Maybe, but I thought they weren't going to fuck with them at the moment. They were going to let them dwell on the idea of their rebranding and merger.
Yeah. So
they killed everybody in the police station. That's fine, but I don't know why they would be attacking them after making them that offer.
You think maybe it's some sort of like third party?
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. This is a fucking. But we did get some more Buffalo.
Yeah, I don't know. Could be.
I do like more Buffalo.
Yeah.
All right. I guess that's all we got.
Yeah, I think we're done for tonight.
Yeah. But check us out soon on Not the Show, where we're going to be talking about Twin Peaks.
Mm-hmm. And we'll eventually do another Dark Tower podcast to talk about the Dark Tower at some point.
Yeah, we need to do that.
Yeah.
And if you want to talk to me on the Twatters, I'm at Dharma Bob.
I'm at Joey.
And together we are at Not the Show. You can also follow this podcast at AM Godscast. You can also like it on the Facebooks at American Godscast. And if you want to pay us a little worship, you can go to iTunes, leave us a 5-star rating and review.
That would be really nice of you.
Yes, it would be, and we would help other people find the podcast. And yeah, thanks for listening, everybody.
See you next week. I didn't have anything witty to say this time.
That's okay.
I don't remember what I said last week though. Maybe
I didn't.
It was the arm off.
Yes, it was an arm. I am the arm.
Oh, that was it. It was the twin. Okay, so it wasn't the Monty Python arm joke. It was the Twin Peaks arm joke.
Yes.
I showed that portion of Monty Python and Joe the other day on YouTube.
What did he think?
He was hysterical. He thought it was so funny. And then I played him a few other clips of other things. I showed him the exploding guy from that wasn't the Holy Grail, of course. The guy, the overeating exploding guy.
Right.
What episode number are we?
We are episode 13.
Yeah, he was amused. I showed him the bridge scene. I showed him the attacking bunny. It's got fangs. And they just kept playing one after the other. Once I played the first one, the next one was just another funny bit from that movie. Showed him the scene outside the French castle where they flung the cows at them.
Today I showed my mother some Kids in the Hall. I showed her that 30 Helens Agree thing. Because Jesse's father has this girlfriend named Margaret. So the two Margarets were sitting there, and I fucked them a couple times by just like yelling into the room. Like I was like, Margaret! And they're both like, what? And I was like, John's like, you're a dork. But at one point they both agreed on something, and I was like, 30 Margarets is great. And nobody got it.
Uh-huh.
So I had to pull up some old Kids in the Hall episodes and show them the 30 Helens Agree.
It's funny.